DJ PK, and we are joined by Frank Dolce, former Utah quarterback. Frank, good morning.
Yes, sir. Good morning. Good morning.
Frank, are you ordering food while you're talking to us?
That's a very Rick Majerus thing to do.
Oh. I got a question
Or
off the
eat
bat
food.
for you. Who was better at El Camino, you or Todd Hans?
Wait, is that a trick question?
No. I just want to know. You remember Todd Hans, don't you?
Yeah. Well, I would actually put Larry Egger up there.
Yeah, but
you remember Larry Egger?
Yeah, but he didn't go to ASU. Todd Hans did.
Well, Larry Egger, he did not go. But where did he go?
Where did he
To
go?
you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was good. Yeah. There's been some great quarterbacks at El Camino. There's been so many players that have come out of El Camino. Of course, Steve Sarkisian.
But he didn't play
Aaron
football.
Craver.
Did he play football there?
Yeah.
Oh no, he went to SC to play baseball. Is that what it was? And then went to Camino?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. That was an interesting roundabout way to get where he is right now, for sure.
No doubt. Aaron Craver played with the Miami Dolphins for a long time. He was unbelievable. Ken Saleh and New Saleh, linebacker and free safety. Dan Speltz. Dan Speltz went to El Camino, and then he went to play at Fullerton College. And I think he still owns the record for highest completion percentage in a game. It was somewhere around 90%.
Wow.
In a game. It was ridiculous. Yeah. It was a factory.
Yep.
Quarterback factory.
Frank, I remember you saying something about, a month ago, and it really stuck with me, and I thought about it again yesterday while Kyle Whittingham was talking about the changes in college football. He was talking about developing players, and that's really where it's been their bread and butter. But some guys transfer before they develop, and other guys transfer in, time to develop because they're down to a year or two of eligibility. It's really changed the way things work. And the whole chemistry, family thing, he's talked about how that's hard to do because now instead of 15, 20, 25 new players, you got 45 new players. And so the culture changes, and you don't have the guys around lean on the guys in the same way for the same amount of time. Is that what you were getting at when you said culture changes at the U could be impacting this season? Because you said it like a month ago, and now we've heard Kyle talk, and I'm like, those things seem to line up to me.
Yeah, so the Utah model is, bring in the underrated guy who shows some significant potential and develop that guy in the program, in the culture, and make that guy into a significant contributor as part of a bigger organization. And that's been part of the key to Coach Whittingham's success, is that he's just been able to develop talent and to find guys who will stick around, who will work hard, who will do all of the things that maybe you don't necessarily get out of a superstar, and become part of a larger unit, and so that's way more difficult. When it's difficult doing it with a bunch of guys that are going to stick around, but it's way more difficult when a guy is coming in from another place and has different expectations and maybe is thinking, well, I'm only going to be here a year or two. And the mentality of, I'm going to develop me. It's not, I'm going to develop I'm going to develop me. And that doesn't seem to fit in the Coach Whittingham style. So I really believe that's been a significant problem over the past couple years, but really has shown this year. And I'm really curious if there's a way. So I mean, if I were running the program, and I'm not, I think in the offseason I would sit down and I would say, well, this is how we've built it. We've built it with this type of player who's engaged in the program, who's very unlikely to leave and will contribute over the course of 3 or 4 years. Can we do that with NIL? I think there's a way that you can. And I think the way that it is you take whatever funds that you can raise in the NIL, and we've said this before, it's not going to be like Washington or Oregon or Alabama or anybody else. They just don't have the resources like that. But we're going to take this, whatever pot we have, and we're going to distribute that appropriately across the team so that we encourage people to stay and to build a program. We're not necessarily going to go out and pay a star quarterback. And I'm only, that's going to sound like it's coming down on Camerizing. It's not. I'm just using the quarterback as whatever. A star player, $1 million a year, whatever it is, to the detriment of the entire team. That's just not the culture of this program. So if we can figure out how to distribute funds across the team to encourage people to stay and progress and build and become contributors to this football team, that may be our best path to success. So I don't know. That's just a theory, but it seems to fit the Utah model better than we're going to try and go out and find a few star players, and then a bunch of other guys are going to get upset, and then they're going to transfer every year, and then we're going to have to be in the transfer portal and try and get guys in and out, and who knows how we develop culture under that scenario.
Guy was talking about the world in which everyone lives now with the transfer portal being so prominent, and it's coming up where kids can enter, so they want to know who especially the coordinators are, obviously, and so he feels like he needs to act fast on hiring a coordinator with the transfer portal coming up. What are you looking for in the new guy, whoever it might be?
Well, I like the Utah style of football. Not recent, but what Utah has traditionally been, which is win at the line of scrimmage, produce a ground game, good tight end play, a couple of guys that are a threat on the outside, and a quarterback that distributes the ball efficiently, effectively. The guy that's 70% completions and a 7.5 or so yard per completion average and doesn't turn the ball over, good decisions, kind of an athletic guy. So, and I think that's a winning formula. And so that's the kind of guy I would like to see. And it maybe not too much to ask for a little bit of creativity on the offensive side. So I don't think you need a Lincoln Riley or even a Steve Sarkisian. Sometimes I think those guys get way too deep into their playbooks and those call sheets are enormous, and who knows what's going to happen next. But I just think a guy that understands, at the end of the day, it's blocking and tackling. And I think that's the kind of guy that is successful at the University of Utah.
Kyle, probably has a couple different directions he can go here. One is Utah's profile is up. They might be able to get a more established name who isn't a Utah guy, right? He's given Brian Johnson his first shot and A-Rod his first shot. He brought back Andy Ludwig. So you could go way outside the box. They could also try to go down the not exactly, but kind of like the Urban Meyer route where you try to find someone, not a hot up-and-coming head coach, but someone like Urban, except, a hot up-and-coming offensive coordinator. Do you want, you like the younger guy, the newer ideas, or you like somebody tried and tested?
Well, the truth is I like both. And so if you can go out and find Norm Chow, I still feel like Norm Chow, with what he was saddled with in terms of offensive talent during his time at the University of Utah, he still, to me, feels like he got the most out of the talent that he had available. And so if you can find an established guy like that, and that's an offense that fits Utah, then yes, let's go get that guy. Now, the issue with that guy, an established guy, is that there may be a tendency to butt heads with an established head coach like Coach Whittingham, and maybe that's something to take into consideration. But I also love the idea of finding a guy who is out there, smaller school, like a Bowling Green or something like that, who is having success, getting the most out of the talent he has on the field, showing some creativity, and has a basis in the style that fits where Utah recruits well. So I don't care, one or the other. An up and comer is great. A well-established guy is great, as long as they fit with the Utah culture.
Yeah. I mean, for that matter, you'd take whomever. Then there's no restrictions on race, gender, whatever. Just win. Whoever, as long as you win, who cares? That's the bottom line, is winning ball games, man.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true.
It really is.
This poor team they just can't figure out how to win, and now that defense is playing well. It gets knocked because they're just on the field a lot and they're put under difficult situations. But that's a good defense. Like if that offense was a mid-tier performer in the Big 12, they'd be challenging for a shot at the title. Like just if they were a mid-tier performer on the offensive side. And so that's been difficult to watch. And it is. I mean, it's like winning is contagious and so is losing. And they're in these last two games, I don't know what they're going to be able to accomplish, but man, it sure would be nice if they could figure out that taste of victory again and maybe get back on the right track.
With that in mind, at least for a portion of the game the other day, we saw a little bit of momentum gathered by Isaac Wilson. It seemed like, all right, man, I don't want to say a light went on and all that stuff. I don't know about that. But just for a time, until he threw that pick, he looked good.
I know.
And you got to have – my big thing this week is that little portion that you had there, I got to see you build on it. If I see you build on what you did during the middle portion of that game, particularly in the third quarter, then I'm going to be encouraged.
He's shown signs, and that little segment there was encouraging. I think that the thing that he was dealing with, the health issue that he was dealing with, maybe a bit of flu or something.
Yeah, it was real.
I think that really affected him. He was very cautious in the beginning of the football game, and just held on to the ball too long many times. But then he caught a spark, and you could tell all of a sudden it was like, I'm hitting my step, I'm releasing the ball, I'm finding open guys. It felt much more comfortable. And if he can get to that point, then I think Utah really has a shot. They really have an opportunity. And they still have enough talent on that football team to win games, although, oh my heavens, it just keeps dwindling as people are just dropping it feels like they're dropping like flies. But there's still enough talent on the offensive side of the ball to win some games, especially if the quarterback position starts to find that rhythm. And that's, to me, all he needs to do is he needs to find that rhythm early in a game, complete a couple passes, maybe make a nice run, get a little help from his running game. It's not much. It doesn't take much for them to get back on track, but it just feels like they're a little lost at the moment. And any positive is kind of almost immediately negated by some bad play.
My theories are too simple, so I'm going to defer to someone who dominated at El Camino.
Todd Hans?
Yes.
Todd Hans. Get Todd on the line.
Dan
call Todd.
Wait. Who are we talking to? Okay, here we go.
So here's the deal. They're struggling in the red zone. I mean, it's just painful to watch when they get in the red zone. So I got two things they did last week that worked, which logically work. So give it another shot. Once you cross midfield, give Singer a chance to get downfield because that guy will go get the ball in the air and make the quarterback look good. They haven't had a lot of receivers you could say that about, but you can definitely say that about him. Probably count him on one hand, right? But you can say that about him. And the other thing is more loner. Throw it up and let him go get it. Why haven't they thrown the ball to him in more than a month? I mean, that was so dismissive.
Yesterday.
I know, and for the first time in a month. And it was so dismissive. My wife, who never comments about the football and the highlights or whatever, and she goes, that was such a dismissive touchdown catch. Just grab that ball.
She never comments, but she commented.
Yeah, right, exactly. It was rare. It caught my eye.
Well, never and rare are two different words.
Stop. Let me talk to the guy from El Camino who understands. So, just saying go to this guy makes you pretty predictable, but at the same time, the struggles have been so real. Can they do those two things again?
Well, I don't know if it's a question of can they. They have to do those things. Like Singer is so talented and so underutilized, it's maddening.
You got a touchdown pass the other day. Come on.
That's his first one. Which game are we? I mean, that guy should have 10 touchdowns. Yeah. He's a different level of talent. He's been a very bright spot in an offensive team that has been not bright. Carson Ryan, loner, that's what I mean. Getting guys involved, engaged out of the backfield. Mekhi Bernard's terrific receiver out of the backfield. You can pressure a defense. You can make a defense think about who they have to guard because just those four guys, that pressures a defense. So I'm with you. And I mean, I lean on, well, is the play calling there? Maybe that's a question mark. Is the play calling right? I think you can't take that out of the equation. I think that's certainly part of it. But then, you just have to look at the quarterback position, and it's just noticeable. There's a lack of confidence in making a decision. When you hit your steps and you start to get rid of the ball and then you hold on to it, that's contributing to the problem as well. And the other thing is then you start saying, well, the offensive line isn't doing their job. I don't know if that's exactly true. I mean, there were times when Wilson was pressured, but there was plenty of time when he had time. And then the lack of getting rid of the football caused the pressure. You just can't hold on to a guy that long. So there's a bunch of contributing factors, but if you're looking at a way to pressure a defense or keep a defense off balance, with just those four guys that we named, that we talked about, that's plenty of talent for an offense to find productivity.
Frank, we'll leave it right there. You can go contact some more El Camino alumni and reconnect.
Yeah, that's a big, long list of All-Americans right there.
Once a warrior, always a warrior.
You know what I'm saying? That's
I do.
The truth.
I've been in that stadium.
That's the truth.
I walked that campus.
Oh, this is the best. It was the best.
Frank, thanks for the time. We
Go
appreciate
Warriors.
it. We'll talk to you again next week.
Go Utes.
There you go.
All right, guys.
Thanks, Frank. It's a Utah Jazz Ticket Tuesday. We're giving away tickets on the other side of this break. Denver's coming to town November 27th. Get to see the Joker and the Denver Nuggets. DJ and PK, we'll do that on the other side. Stay with us. 97.5 The Zone.